The meaning of Kangyur is the translated version of the Buddha. It is the entire collection of text regarding as Buddhavakana or Buddha word translated into Tibetan. The texts considered to be Buddha word are the records not only of the Buddha's own discourses but also of teachings, explanations by other, often by his close disciples with his approval or by other enlightened beings. Also included are systematic compilation of Buddha's pronouncements on particular topics, example the rules of monastic discipline in Vinaya text. What is Tengyur? The meaning of Tengyur, the translated treatises, it is comprised of the Tibetan translations of work written by Indian Buddhist masters, explaining and elaborating on the words of Buddha. What are the sources, language of Kangyur and Tengyur? Most of the texts were translated from Sanskrit and few from other Indian languages. There are also texts were translated from Chinese. Are the Kangyur and Tengyur chronicle scriptures like Bible and Quran? The Buddhist scriptures, unlike those Judaism, Christianity or Islam, are not seen as a closely defined set of sacred elevations granted to humans by divine being usual definitions of a canon. However, the texts in the Kangyur and Tengyur, like those in Chinese and Pali collections, are often described as canonical in sense that they are accorded a special authoritative status. Their authority and derives partly from their provenance but also to a large extent from their perceived transformative power. The second, less formalized aspect helps to explain why the collections, with the exception of Pali canon, have not been treated as completely immutable and close to further additions. Another difference is that the various genres within canonical collections are accorded different levels of sacred authority. The sutras and tantras, some cases the most, then Vinaya text, followed by Abhidharma and the treatises. How extensive are the Kangyur and Tengyur and how many texts do they contain? Depending upon the edition, the Kangyur comprises 101 to 120 volumes and Tengyur 220 to 250 volumes. Kangyur, Words of Buddha, 1169 texts containing 70,000 pages. Tengyur, commentaries by Indian masters, 4093 texts containing 1,61,800 pages. One page equals one side or two-sided folio. Pages are stated the packing Kangyur and Tengyur pages. Since no two Kangyur or Tengyur editions are exactly the same, the data above is the estimate of their total cumulative size based on all the texts found in 6 Kangyurs and 4 Tengyurs. This data is derived from a special report Dr. Phillips Stanley, near 2 decades of research on various editions of Kangyur and Tengyur text. What categories of text are found in Kangyur and Tengyur? The genre or categories the text contains within the Kangyur include Vinaya, dealing mainly with monastic discipline, Pragyamita, and the text on the transcendent perfection of wisdom, Avatmask, the flower ornament collection of related sutras, Ratnakuta, the heap of jewels class of sutras, other sutras, Tantra, the text of the Vajrayan or adamantine vehicle, Nyangma Tantra, the tantras brought to Tibetan in early translation period, Dharani, the short text based on formula for recitation, Kal Chakra, tantras belonging to the wheel of time class. The genres and category of text contained within the Tengyur include praises, Tantra Vajrayan treatises, Pragya Paramita, treatises on the transcendent perfection of wisdom, Madhyamaka, treatises based Nagarjun's midway philosophy, Sutra commentary, general treatises on Sutra topics, Siddhamatra, treatises related to the mind only, views or to some of the Asanga's works, Abhidharma, summaries and systematic compilation of the octave Vinaya, treatises dealing mainly with the monastic discipline, Jatak, the stories of Buddha's previous lives as a bodhisattva, epistle, logic, language, medicine, crafts, mundane treatises. When were the Kangyur and Tengyur compiled? The texts were brought to Tibet from India and translated into Tibetan over a long period. The early period of translation started in 7th century, reaching a high point in the 8th and early 9th centuries with the well-developed centralized organization under royal patronage. There was a break during the political upheavals from the mid-19th century and later period, 10th century, late 10th century. Multiple copies of manuscripts of the translated text were made and kept in different monasteries, but they are not treated as formalized collection for several centuries. The work of ordering and classifying them into genres began with simple descriptive inventories, and early 14th century major efforts were being made to collect copies and compile and edit definitive collections, perhaps inspired by examples of that Chinese scholars had done, as well as in response to the circulation and multiple versions of variations of many texts. The monasteries of Narthang, Tarshal, Gunthang and Jahu are known to have been active centers of such work in 14th and 15th centuries, and great Jhaluk scholar and editor Bhutan is often credited with an important role in the establishment of Kangyur and Tengyur in something like its present form. The introduction of xylograph printing from China in early 15th century made it easier to standardize the collection, but different editions of both Kangyur and Tengyur continued, nevertheless, to appear in different regions of Tibet, and new translations as well as new discovered texts considered canonical were still being added in the 19th century. Are there many versions of Kangyur and Tengyur? Yes, there are many versions of Kangyur and Tengyur, both manuscripts and block print that still exist or are known to have existed. These different versions or editions produced over the centuries in different parts of Tibet, though broadly similar in content, vary in the extent list explored in the which text are genres and arranged and textual details within the text. Another major area of difference was which sets of tantras were included, this being an issue of strongly held sectarian preferences. The initial compilation work at the monastery of Narthang in the early 14th century produced a manuscript collection, probably containing multiple copies of some text, now known as Old Narthang, which no longer exists. However, copies made from this common source were taken into different parts of Tibet and evolved into slightly different branches or traditions, the eastern branches being known as the Tashalfa and western later giving rise to manuscript version also known as Thempangma. The Shalfa version of Kangyur was the product of substantial revision and reorganization of the text, as well as the addition of 3 volumes of Tantra from early translation period. It was basis for the first wood block printing and Yangli edition made in China under the Ming Dynasty Emperor Yang 1410. As a printing technology spread, a number of different wood block editions were printed, some in China and some in Tibet, all based on the Shalpa tradition. The Wanli, Lithlang, Kangxi edition in 17th century and Chone and Qing Long the 18th century. Other regional wood block editions made from 18th century onwards, although still based on the Shalpa edition, including varying amounts of cross input from the Thempangma lineage. These are the Narthang, Dege, Urga, Lhasa editions. The original Thangpangma manuscript made in 1431 and kept Gyansi may still exist has not been identified. Over the centuries, many copies were made, one of the which is Mongolian State Library in Yunnan, Beror, another Tokyo, in manuscript Kangyur in London, as is a copy, and State Palace Kangyur from Leh, Ladakh. The Thempangma tradition did not directly give rise to any printed edition. There are a few local manuscripts, Kangyurs, which were produced independently of the 2 lineages derived from Old Narthang, the Bathang, Mustang or Phukdrak and Tawang Kangyurs. Which editions are most reliable? The Thempangma manuscript is considered more reliable than the Shalpa and other versions in many respects, but many of its better features were incorporated in the later printed versions, it is generally accepted that overall the most reliable version of Kangyur is Dage collection printed in 18th century. The Dage printed under the patronage of Tenpa sharing ruler of Dage principality and the editorship of Situ Panchen Choki Changen. A large number of new translations were added by Situ Panchen's successor Shuchen. Ancient Dege Kangyur, known as the post Parfu, is the Dege Kangyur that is the printed today. For the Tengyur, most scholars regard 18th century Dege edition is most reliable, followed by Golden Queen Dynasty Peking edition. Other block print editions are those of Narthang, Kone and Mongolia. What versions are available today and where? Many monastery and university libraries have printed copies of the Kangyur and Tengyur. The Dage versions are probably the most widespread. In addition to Dage collection, copies of the Peking, Lithang, Kone, Narthang, Urga, Lhasa, Kangyurs, and Kone, Narthang and Peking Tengyurs are all available in some libraries. For most people, it is assist to consult the collections online, and Tibetan Buddhist Resource Center site currently text views of Dege Stock Palace Lhasa Urga and Narthang Kangyurs and Dege Golden Narthang and Kone Tengyurs.